The wind tore through Maya Santos's thin jacket as she balanced 3 pizza boxes and checked her phone. 11:42 p.m. 4 more deliveries and she'd finally make enough to cover the electric bill due tomorrow morning. The weather app flashed another severe storm warning, but Maya barely glanced at it. She'd been working for Express Pizza for 8 months now, her 3rd job, and nothing short of a hurricane would make her give up tonight's tips. The first fat drops of rain hit her face as she locked her battered Honda Civic. She'd parked 2 blocks away because the GPS had sent her to the wrong side of the industrial district again. The customer had prepaid but left a $20 tip. $20 that meant the difference between lights and darkness in her studio apartment. The rain intensified suddenly, going from steady to torrential in seconds. Maya gasped as icy water soaked through her jacket, her jeans, her worn sneakers. She could barely see through the sheets of rain, but she could make out the warehouse address just ahead. She was almost there when lightning split the sky, illuminating the street in harsh white light. That's when she saw him. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. An old man stood at the corner bus stop, completely exposed to the storm. He wore a light windbreaker, no umbrella, no protection from the downpour. His white hair was plastered to his head, and even from a distance, Maya could see him swaying slightly, one hand gripping the bus stop pole for support. She hesitated, looking between the warehouse and the old man. Her phone buzzed. The delivery timer. 12 minutes until the app flagged her for being late. But the old man was trying to sit down on the bench now, his movements slow and unsteady. He missed the edge and nearly fell before catching himself. Maya's grandmother had died alone on a street corner 3 years ago. A stranger had called 911, but by the time help arrived, she was gone. Maya had never been able to thank that stranger, had never stopped wondering if her grandmother had been scared, if she'd wished for someone to sit with her. The decision made itself. Maya ran toward the bus stop, the pizza boxes forgotten priorities. Up close, she could see that the old man was in his 70s, maybe early 80s, with a weathered face and kind brown eyes that were clouded with pain. His lips had a faint bluish tint that made Maya's stomach drop. His breathing was shallow, labored. "Sir?" Maya crouched beside him, setting the pizza boxes on the bench. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The old man's eyes focused on her with difficulty. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible over the storm, carrying a slight Italian accent. "Just resting, Piccola. Waiting for my ride." "You're soaked through," Maya said, already shrugging off her jacket. She draped it over his shoulders. "When is your ride coming?" "Soon. My son. He's always busy." The old man smiled faintly, but the expression quickly turned to a grimace as he clutched at his chest. Maya's heart lurched. "Sir, I think you need a doctor. Let me call." "No hospitals." His hand shot out, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. "Please, my son will come." Maya looked at the screen, then back at the old man. His eyes were closing, his grip on her wrist loosening. The bluish tint was spreading to his fingers. She grabbed the pizza boxes and ran them to the warehouse, leaving them by the door with a quick text. "Sorry, emergency. Pizza by door. No refund needed." Then she was running back to the bus stop, her phone already dialing 911. The old man had slumped further down on the bench, his head lolling to one side. Maya wedged herself beside him, using her body to shield him from the worst of the rain. She pulled off her delivery bag and positioned it over his head like a makeshift canopy. 911. "What's your emergency?" "I need an ambulance at the corner of Beacon and Industrial. There's an elderly man. I think he's having a heart attack. He's conscious but barely responsive. His breathing is shallow, and his lips are blue." The operator told her the ambulance was 8 minutes out. 8 minutes felt like an eternity. "Sir," Maya said, adjusting her position so she could see his face better. "Sir, can you hear me? The ambulance is coming. What's your name?" His eyes fluttered open. Antonio Castellano. "I'm Maya Santos. You're going to be okay, Antonio. Help is coming, my son." Antonio's voice was getting weaker. "I was supposed to meet him. Important business." "We'll call him," Maya promised. "What's his number? Is it in your phone?" Antonio fumbled in his pocket with shaking hands, finally pulling out an old flip phone. Maya took it carefully, flipping it open. The contact list had exactly 3 entries: home, office, and Nico. Maya chose Nico. The phone rang once, Twice. Then a man's voice answered, deep and sharp with irritation. Papa, where the hell are you? The meeting started 20 minutes ago. This isn't Antonio, Maya said quickly. My name is Maya Santos. I'm with your father at a bus stop on Beacon Street. He needs help. I've called 911, but what happened? The irritation was gone, replaced by something harder, more focused. I think he's having a heart attack. His breathing is bad. His lips are blue. The ambulance is coming, but stay with him. It was a command, not a request. Don't leave him alone. I'm 8 minutes away. The ambulance is 8 minutes too. I'll beat them. The line went dead. Maya pocketed the phone and turned her attention back to Antonio. His breathing had become even more shallow, his chest barely moving. Antonio, Maya said, gently patting his cheek. Stay with me. Tell me about your son. What's he like? Antonio's eyes opened to slits. Nico. Good boy. Too serious. He managed a faint smile. Needs to smile more. Like his mother. She smiled all the time. She sounds wonderful, Maya said, keeping her voice steady even as her hands shook. Is she waiting for you at home? Gone. 3 years now. Antonio's hand reached out, finding Maya's. His grip was weak, his skin cold despite the humid summer air. Don't want to die alone. Like she did. Maya's throat tightened. You're not alone. I'm right here, and your son is coming. You're not alone, Antonio. The wail of sirens cut through the sound of rain. Maya looked up, relief flooding through her as an ambulance turned onto the street, lights flashing. But before it even came to a complete stop, another vehicle screeched around the corner. A black Mercedes SUV, moving fast, came to an abrupt halt at the bus stop. The driver's door flew open, and a man emerged. Tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair swept back from a face that was all sharp angles and intensity. He wore an expensive suit that was already getting soaked, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes locked onto Antonio, and something in his expression made Maya's breath catch. Not just concern, devastation held tightly under control. Papa, he said, dropping to his knees beside the bench. His hands moved to Antonio's face, checking his pulse, his breathing, with practiced efficiency. I'm here. I'm right here. Antonio's eyes opened, focusing on his son with effort. Nico, told you. I'm fine. You're not fine, old man. Nico's voice was rough, choked. Why didn't you take your medication this morning? The paramedics were there then, professional and swift, moving Maya gently aside as they assessed Antonio. Blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen levels. Maya stood back, suddenly aware that she was shivering violently, soaked to the bone. One paramedic was talking to Nico, explaining something about cardiac arrhythmia, congestive heart failure, immediate transport. Nico was nodding, his face a mask of controlled fury and fear. Then his eyes found Maya. She took an involuntary step backward. His eyes were dark, almost black in the dim light, and they held an intensity that made her feel like he could see right through her. He walked over to her as the paramedics loaded Antonio onto a stretcher. You called me, he said. It wasn't a question. Maya nodded. He had your number in his phone. I didn't know what else to do. You stayed with him. Again, a statement, not a question. He was looking at her like he was trying to memorize every detail of her face. I couldn't leave him alone, Maya said simply. Most people would have. This neighborhood, this time of night. Nico pulled off his suit jacket and draped it over Maya's shoulders before she could protest. It was warm from his body heat and smelled like expensive cologne and rain. What's your name? Maya Santos. Nico Castellano. He pulled out his wallet, extracting several crisp $100 bills. For your trouble, I don't want money. Maya's voice came out sharper than she intended. I just wanted to help. Something flickered across Nico's face. Surprise, maybe? Or respect? He's going to St. Catherine's Hospital. I need to go with him, but I want to thank you properly. Can I call you? You don't need to thank me, Maya started, but one of the paramedics called out. Mr. Castellano, we need to leave now. Nico looked torn, his eyes moving between Maya and the ambulance where his father was waiting. Maya made the decision for him. Go. He needs you. Nico hesitated for one more second, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. He pressed it into Maya's hand. Please, call this number tomorrow. or I'll find you anyway to return the jacket." Then he was running to the ambulance, climbing in beside his father. Maya watched as the doors closed and the ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing. Maya looked down at the business card in her hand. It was heavy stock, expensive, with embossed lettering. Castello Enterprises, Nico Castellano, CEO, and a phone number. Her phone buzzed with notifications. 7 missed deliveries, 3 angry messages from customers. 1. Notification from Express Pizza. Your account has been flagged for multiple missed deliveries. Please contact management. Maya should have been panicking. She needed this job. She was already behind on rent, her car registration was overdue, and her credit card was maxed out. But all she could think about was Antonio's hand in hers, cold and trembling, and the look in Nico's eyes when he'd seen his father. She wrapped Nico's jacket tighter around herself and started walking back to her car. The rain had lessened to a drizzle, but she was already soaked through anyway. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Express Pizza calling. "Maya, this is Derek. We need to talk about tonight." "I know," Maya said quietly. "There was an emergency." "I don't care what the emergency was. You abandoned 7 deliveries. We've had complaints, demands for refunds. I have to let you go." Maya closed her eyes. "I understand. You can pick up your last check on Friday." Maya stood in the middle of the empty street, rain dripping from her hair, wearing a stranger's expensive jacket, and laughed. It was either that or cry. She'd just lost her primary source of income because she'd stopped to help an old man at a bus stop. Most people would think she was an idiot, but she'd do it again in a heartbeat. She made it back to her car and sat in the driver's seat, shivering. She pulled out the business card again, studying it in the glow of the streetlight. Castello Enterprises. She'd heard that name before, whispered in the same way people whispered about things they didn't want to fully acknowledge. Maya drove home through the empty streets, the business card resting on the passenger seat like a question mark. She didn't know it yet, but everything in her life had just changed. One choice, one moment of compassion in the rain, and nothing would ever be the same again. The call came the next morning at 10 a.m. Maya jerked awake, her phone buzzing insistently. Unknown number. "Hello? Maya Santos?" The voice was unfamiliar, professional, female. "Yes? My name is Elena Ricci. I work for Nico Castellano. He wanted me to check on you, make sure you made it home safely." Maya blinked, caught off guard. Yes, I'm fine. How did you get my number?" "Mr. Castellano is very resourceful." There was a smile in Elena's voice. "He also wanted me to inform you that Antonio is stable. The doctors are monitoring him overnight, but his prognosis is good, thanks to your quick action." Relief washed through Maya so intensely she had to sit down. "He's really okay?" "He's really okay. And Mr. Castellano would like to meet with you tomorrow to thank you properly." "Would 11 a.m. work?" "He can send a car." "A car?" Maya repeated faintly. "Unless you'd prefer to drive yourself?" He suggested the Cascada on 5th Street. "Do you know it?" Maya knew of it. It was one of those restaurants where you needed a reservation, months in advance. "I don't think—" Maya started. "Mr. Castellano insists." Elena interrupted gently. "And between you and me, it's best not to refuse when he insists. Besides, Antonio wants to thank you as well. He's been asking about you. That decided it." "Okay. 11 a.m. But I'll drive myself." "Perfect. I'll text you the address. And Maya, thank you for what you did tonight. Antonio means everything to Nico. Everything." The next morning, Maya worked her breakfast shift at Rosie's diner, her mind elsewhere. When she told Rosie about losing her job at Express Pizza, Rosie shook her head. "You can't keep putting other people before your own survival, kid. You barely make rent as it is." "I know," Maya said quietly. But he was alone and scared. "And I can give you more shifts if you need them," Rosie offered. "Lunch rush 3 days a week, plus your weekend breakfast shifts." "Thank you, Rosie." At 10:15, Maya clocked out and drove to Cascada. The restaurant was even more intimidating in person, floor to ceiling. Windows overlooked a fountain in a private courtyard. When she gave her name at the host stand, the host's expression transformed immediately. "Of course, Miss Santos. Mr. Castellano is expecting you, right this way." He led her to a private room at the back. Antonio sat at the table, engaged in conversation with Nico. Antonio saw her first, his face lighting up. "Piccola, my angel." He started to stand, and Maya rushed forward. "No, please, don't get up. How are you feeling?" "Better, thanks to you." Antonio reached for her hand. "The doctors wanted to keep me another night, but I told them I had an important lunch date." "Papa charmed his way out of the hospital," Nico said, and Maya finally looked at him properly. In daylight, Nico Castellano was somehow even more striking. He'd traded last night's suit for dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, open at the collar. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, and there were shadows under his eyes that spoke of a sleepless night. "Miss Santos," he said, standing and extending his hand. "Thank you for coming." His handshake was firm, professional, but his hand lingered in hers a beat longer than necessary. "I brought your jacket," Maya said, suddenly awkward. She held it out. "Keep it," Nico said immediately. "You need a new one anyway." "I can't accept, please." Antonio's voice was gentle. "Let us do this small thing. You saved my life, Piccola. A jacket is nothing." Maya wanted to protest, but the look in Antonio's eyes stopped her. She set the jacket carefully on the back of a chair. "Okay, thank you." A waiter appeared with menus. Maya opened hers and nearly choked at the prices. $45 for a salad, $78 for pasta. Nico must have seen her expression because he said, "The chicken marsala is excellent here. It's Papa's favorite." Maya closed the menu. "Whatever you recommend is fine." Nico ordered for all three of them in Italian. The waiter nodded and disappeared. An awkward silence fell. Antonio broke it. "Tell me about yourself, Maya. Where are you from?" "Born and raised in White Cliff," Maya said. "My parents were immigrants from the Philippines. They worked at the textile factory until it closed down." "Were?" Nico asked quietly. "They died when I was 19. Car accident." Maya's voice was matter of fact. "I was in college at the time. State school, majoring in social work. Had to drop out to work." Something flickered across Nico's face. "No other family?" "My grandmother passed 3 years ago. No siblings." Maya shrugged. "It's just me. Like me," Antonio said softly. "After my Maria died, Nico is all I have." The food arrived rich, perfectly prepared, unlike anything Maya had eaten before. Antonio told stories about growing up in Sicily, about coming to America with nothing but determination. "Met my Maria at a church social," he said, his eyes distant with memory. "She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and she had no interest in me whatsoever." "How did you win her over?" Maya asked. "Persistence. And I learned to dance." Antonio smiled. "She loved to dance. So I took lessons every night for 3 months. First time I didn't step on her feet, she agreed to have coffee with me." Maya found herself sharing too. Her parents' sacrifices to send her to college. Her grandmother's stories. Her brief time as a social work major, before financial reality had forced her to leave. "Why social work?" Nico asked. "I wanted to help people who couldn't help themselves," Maya said. "Kids in bad situations, families falling apart. I thought I could make a difference." She laughed, but it was tinged with bitterness. "Didn't work out that way." "You still make a difference," Antonio said. "You made one last night." The rest of lunch passed too quickly. Antonio grew tired as the hour wore on, his energy fading. Nico noticed immediately, calling for the check. "Papa needs to rest," he said. "But I'd like to speak with you privately before you." "Go, Maya. Would you mind waiting?" Maya nodded. Antonio hugged her goodbye, pressing a kiss to her cheek. "Thank you, Piccola, for everything." Nico walked his father out, leaving Maya alone. When he returned, his expression was serious. "Thank you for humoring my father," Nico said. "He doesn't let many people in, but he's decided you're family now. He's easy to care about," Maya said honestly. "How is he really?" "He has congestive heart failure. His medication wasn't working as well as it should have been, and he'd been skipping doses." Nico's jaw tightened. "Stubborn old man refuses to admit he's not 25 anymore." "He speaks very highly of you," Maya said. "He's proud of you." "He shouldn't be." The words came out harsh. Nico caught himself. "What I mean is, I haven't been the son he deserves. Too focused on business, not enough on what matters." "You were there last night when he needed you?" Maya pointed out. "That's what matters." Nico looked at her for a long moment. Can I ask you something? Okay. Why did you really stay with him? If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. You had no reason to trust that I would actually show up, or that he'd be okay. So why? Maya considered the question. Because when you have nothing, she said slowly, kindness is the only wealth you can afford to give, and it's the only thing that makes you feel like you're worth something. The words hung in the air between them. Nico's expression shifted. I want to offer you a job, he said finally. Mr. Castellano. Nico, please. Nico, I appreciate it, but I can't accept charity. It's not charity. It's a legitimate position. My father needs someone to stay with him during the day, someone who can manage his medications, make sure he eats properly, drive him to appointments, someone who gives a damn whether he lives or dies. Nico's voice was rough. You treated him like a person, like someone worth saving. He named a salary that made Maya's breath catch. It was more than she made at all three of her, jobs combined, health insurance included, use of a car, your own suite in the estate house, whatever makes you comfortable. Maya's mind was reeling. It was too much, too generous. Why me? Because my father is the most important person in my world, and you're the only person I've met who treated him that way without being told to. Nico's voice softened. And because I think you need this as much as he does. Maya thought about her mounting bills, her dying car, the extra shifts that would barely cover her expenses. She thought about sleeping on a couch that hurt her back and eating ramen for dinner 5 nights a week. But most of all, she thought about Antonio's kind eyes and warm smile. I'll try it, she heard herself say. A trial period, 1 month. If it doesn't work out, no hard feelings on either side. Nico's expression transformed. Deal. When can you start? I need to give notice at my other jobs. Tomorrow, Nico said. At Maya's raised eyebrow, he amended. Please, Papa is being discharged this afternoon, and I have business meetings all week that I can't reschedule. Maya thought about Rosie, who would understand. Tomorrow. But I need to work through the week at the diner. Rosie needs the coverage. Fine. Start at noon, after your morning shifts. They worked out the details. Maya would start tomorrow at noon, at the Castellano estate just outside the city. One more thing, Nico said as they prepared to leave. My world is complicated. There are people who would use anyone close to my father to get to me. You'll be protected, but you need to be aware that this job comes with some risks. Maya thought about the way his men had watched the street last night. She wasn't naive. She knew what Castello Enterprises probably really meant. I understand, she said. Do you? Nico stepped closer. Because once you're part of this world, walking away isn't always simple. Are you trying to scare me? I'm trying to be honest with you. He was right. Maya appreciated honesty. Then I'll be honest too. I'm not scared of your world, Nico. I'm scared of going back to mine, where I work myself to exhaustion and still can't make ends meet. Your father needs help, and I can provide it. Everything else we'll figure out as we go. Nico smiled. Really smiled. My mother would have liked you, he said quietly. You remind me of her. Same stubborn streak. I'll take that as a compliment, Maya said, smiling back. As she drove home, Maya tried to process everything. 24 hours ago, she'd been a delivery girl barely scraping by. Now she had a job offer that would change her life, all because she'd stopped to help an old man in the rain. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Maya answered cautiously. Hello? Miss Santos? This is Derek from Express Pizza. I want to apologize for this morning. I acted hastily. We'd like to offer you your position back, with a raise and... Thank you, but no. Maya interrupted. I'm moving on to something else. She hung up, feeling a surge of satisfaction. Tomorrow, everything would change. She'd step into a world of wealth and privilege and danger she could barely imagine. But tonight, she was still Maya Santos, working-class girl from White Cliff, and she was going to enjoy this last night of her old life. Maya's first day at the Castellano estate began with her mouth hanging open. The mansion wasn't just impressive, it was breathtaking. Stone and glass and elegant architecture that looked transplanted from a European countryside. Her Honda sputtered up the winding driveway like an embarrassed wheeze. A man in a dark suit appeared immediately, Vincent, head of security. He was professional, polite, and his jacket hung in a way that suggested a weapon. Miss Santos? We've been expecting you. Don't worry about the car. We'll have someone look at it. Sounds like it needs a new alternator. I can't afford. It's part of your employment package. Vehicle maintenance, Mr. Castellano insists. Before Maya could protest, a woman in her 60s appeared, Mrs. Greco, the house manager. She was elegant, warm, and clearly ran the household with an iron fist in a velvet glove. Mr. Antonio is expecting you. He's been asking about you all morning. The interior was even more stunning than the exterior. Marble floors, sweeping staircases, art that looked museum-worthy. Mrs. Greco led her to Antonio's ground-floor suite. After his heart attack last year, Mr. NTNN, Nico had it specially designed so he wouldn't have to manage stairs, Mrs. Greco explained. Last year? Maya asked, alarmed. He had another heart attack last year? A mild one, but it was a warning. Antonio is a stubborn man. He doesn't like being treated like he's fragile. Mrs. Greco knocked softly on a door. Mr. Antonio, Miss Santos is here. Finally, send her in. Maya stepped into a room that was both elegant and comfortable. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the gardens. Antonio sat in a leather armchair, wearing comfortable slacks and a cardigan, reading glasses perched on his nose as he looked at a photo album. He looked up when Maya entered, and his whole face lit up. "Piccola, you came." "Of course I came," Maya said, crossing to him. She was relieved to see he had better color than yesterday. "How are you feeling?" "Better now that you're here." Antonio patted the chair next to him. "Come, sit. I was just looking at old photographs. I want to show you my Maria." For the next hour, Maya was transported into Antonio's past. Photographs of a young, handsome man and a beautiful woman with kind eyes. Their wedding, photos of them laughing, dancing, living. A baby who grew into a serious-looking boy with his mother's eyes. "That's Nico," Antonio said, pointing to a photo of a teenager in a suit slightly too big for him. 14 years old, already acting like he was the head of the family. After Maria got sick, he tried to take care of everything. Too much responsibility, too young. She was sick for a long time? 3 years. Cancer. Antonio's voice went rough. Nico watched his mother fade away piece by piece, changed him, made him hard when he should have been soft. "He loves you very much," Maya said. "I know. Sometimes I think he loves me too much. Worries too much." Antonio closed the photo album. "He needs someone to remind him how to live, not just survive. You know what I mean?" "I think so," Maya said. "You remind me of Maria," Antonio said, looking at her intently. "The way you care about people. The way you see what needs to be done, and just do it. That's how Maria was. It's a rare gift, Piccola." They spent the next 2 hours going through Antonio's care routine. His medications, 3 different prescriptions at specific times with food. His dietary restrictions, low sodium, no alcohol, limited caffeine. His exercise requirements, short walks 3 times a day. His warning signs, any chest pain, shortness of breath, unusual fatigue, and Maya was to call Nico immediately. "The doctors also say I need to reduce stress," Antonio said with a mischievous smile. "But how do I do that when my son is in the business he's in?" "What business is that exactly?" Maya asked carefully. Antonio studied her. "You know, don't you? Or at least you suspect." "I know the Castellano name. I've heard things." "And it doesn't scare you?" Maya thought about that. "I'm more scared of going back to my old life than I am of whatever your family does." Antonio laughed. "Practical. Definitely practical. My Maria would have said the same thing." He leaned forward. "The Castellanos have been in this city for 4 generations. We provide services, solve problems, maintain order in places where the law can't or won't reach. Some of what we do is legal, much of it is gray area, and some of it—" He shrugged. "Let's just say, I won't lie to you about what we are." "I appreciate that," Maya said honestly. "Nico will protect you. Anyone who works for this family is protected. But you need to be careful, Piccola. There are people who would hurt you to hurt us. You understand?" Maya thought about Vincent's gun, about the security cameras she'd noticed. "I understand." "Good." Antonio settled back. "Now, enough serious talk. Tell me what you like to eat." They were so engrossed in conversation that Maya didn't hear the door open. Didn't notice they had company until a deep voice said, "I see you two are getting along." Maya turned to find Nico standing in the doorway, still in a suit from whatever business he'd been conducting. His eyes moved between her and his father, and something in his expression softened. "Your Piccola is a treasure," Antonio announced. "She's been here 3 hours and already I feel better." 3 hours? Nico checked his watch, surprised. "I thought you started at noon." "I did," Maya said. "It's 3 o'clock. Time flies when you're enjoying yourself," Antonio said. "Now go away, Nico. You're interrupting our conversation. Actually, Papa, it's time for your afternoon rest. Doctor's orders." Nico's voice was gentle but firm. 2 hours, remember? Antonio grumbled but didn't argue. "Fine. But Maya, you'll stay for dinner? I want to hear more about your grandmother." "Of course," Maya said, helping him to his feet. After Antonio disappeared into his bedroom, Maya turned to find Nico watching her with that intense, unreadable expression. "Walk with me?" he asked. Maya followed him out onto a terrace overlooking the gardens. The afternoon sun was warm, roses and hydrangeas creating splashes of color. "How is he really?" Nico asked, his hands gripping the terrace railing. "Better than I expected, but tired. He tries to hide it." Maya moved to stand beside him. "The medications are working, but he needs to rest more than he does. And he's worried about you." Nico's jaw tightened. "He shouldn't worry about me. He's your father. It's his job to worry." Maya turned to look at Nico's profile. "When's the last time you slept? Really slept?" "I sleep enough. That's not what I asked." Nico turned his head, meeting her eyes. "You're very direct. You said you appreciated honesty more than empty reassurances." "Same goes for me." Maya held his gaze. "You hired me to take care of your father, and I will. But part of taking care of him is making sure you don't burn yourself out." Something flickered across Nico's face, surprise. Maybe. Or respect. "You've been here 3 hours and you're already trying to manage me?" "Someone needs to," Maya said, surprising herself with her boldness. Nico studied her for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. "My mother used to say the same thing." The next 2 weeks fell into a rhythm. Maya worked breakfast shifts at Rosie's, then spent afternoons and early evenings with Antonio. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. He told her stories about Sicily, about building his business from nothing, about Maria. She told him about her parents, her abbreviated college experience, her dreams. Antonio was supposed to nap for 2 hours every afternoon, but he usually only managed 1 before calling for Maya to come back. She learned to be firm with him, insisting on the full 2 hours, threatening to tell Nico when Antonio tried to negotiate. "You're worse than the nurses," Antonio grumbled one afternoon. "The nurses got fired because you charmed them into letting you do whatever you wanted," Maya countered. "I'm not as easy to charm. No, you're stubborn, like Maria was stubborn." But Antonio was smiling. Nico appeared most evenings around 6, usually still in a suit, always looking exhausted. He'd spend an hour with his father, and Maya noticed how Antonio's whole demeanor brightened when his son was there. Maya tried to give them privacy during these times, but Antonio always insisted she stay. "You're part of this family now, Piccola. No hiding away." She caught Nico watching her sometimes when Antonio was speaking, his dark eyes assessing, evaluating. If anything, he deferred to her judgment, asking her opinion about Antonio's energy levels, his mood, his progress. "He seems better," Nico said one evening after Antonio had gone to bed. They stood on the terrace, the ritual they'd fallen into without discussing it. "Happier." "He is better," Maya confirmed. "His vitals are improving, and he's complying with the medication schedule. But more than that, he has something to look forward to every day. Someone to talk to who isn't paid staff or business associates." "You're paid staff," Nico pointed out. "Am I?" Maya looked at him. "Because it doesn't feel that way. It feels like I'm visiting a friend." Nico's expression softened. "He feels the same way. He told me yesterday that you remind him of home." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun set. Maya had grown accustomed to these evening conversations, looked forward to them even. Nico was different when it was just the two of them, less controlled, more willing to show uncertainty or fatigue. "You should go home," Nico said finally. "Get some rest. You work too much," says the man who averages 4 hours of sleep a night, Maya countered. Nico's lips quirked. "How did you know that?" "Your father talks. And you have that look the one people get when they're running on coffee and stubborn determination." "Is that a medical assessment?" "It's a human assessment," Maya turned to face him fully. You know, you don't have to do everything yourself. You're allowed to delegate, to trust other people. Trust gets people killed in my world, Nico said, his voice going hard. Then maybe you need to change your world, Maya said softly. Nico stared at her. You say things like that so easily, like it's simple. I didn't say it was simple. I said it was possible. Maya held his gaze. Your father told me you haven't taken a full day off in 3 years. That kind of pace isn't sustainable, Nico. Eventually, something breaks. I'm not going to break. Maybe not. But the people who love you have to watch you try. Maya's voice was gentle. That breaks them instead. Nico turned away, his hands gripping the railing. You've been here 2 weeks and you think you know me? I think I know what it's like to push yourself past your limits because you don't see any other choice, Maya said. I think I know what it's like to be so tired you can barely stand, but you keep going because people depend on you. And I think I know what it's like to be lonely even when you're surrounded by people. The silence stretched between them. Then Nico said, very quietly, You're right. About all of it. Maya moved to stand beside him. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know, Nico admitted. This business, this life, it's all I know. I can't just walk away. I'm not asking you to walk away. I'm asking you to find some balance. Nico looked at her, really looked at her, and Maya felt her breath catch at the intensity in his eyes. Why do you care? You barely know us. Because your father has become important to me, Maya said honestly. And because I think, maybe, you're starting to become important to me too. The words hung in the air between them, heavier than Maya had intended. Nico's eyes darkened. Instead, he stepped back, his expression smoothing over. It's late. You should go. Drive carefully. Maya recognized a dismissal when she heard one, but she couldn't quite hide her disappointment. Good night, Nico. She gathered her things and headed for the door, but Nico's voice stopped her. Maya? She turned back. Thank you, he said, for caring. About both of us. Maya smiled. You're welcome. As she drove home that night, Maya tried to ignore the flutter in her chest whenever she thought about Nico's eyes on her. She was falling for him. She knew it with a certainty that both thrilled and terrified her. But Antonio's words echoed in her mind. Sometimes the best. Things happen when we stop trying to control everything and just let ourselves feel. Maybe it was time to take that advice. The call came at 2 a.m. Maya jerked awake, her phone buzzing insistently. Nico's name on the screen. Hello? Her voice was rough with sleep. Maya. Nico's voice was tight, controlled in a way that immediately set off alarm bells. I need you to come to the estate. Now. Maya was already out of bed, reaching for clothes. What happened? Is it Antonio? He's fine. But there's been an incident. I need you here to stay with him while I handle it. What kind of incident? I'll explain when you get here. Can you come? I'm already getting dressed. 20 minutes. Drive carefully. And Maya? If anyone follows you, call me immediately. Maya's blood ran cold. Nico, what's going on? 20 minutes. Please. He hung up. Maya dressed in record time, her hands shaking. She checked her mirrors constantly as she drove through the empty streets, looking for headlights that followed too closely. But the roads were empty, and she made it to the estate in 18 minutes. Vincent was waiting at the entrance, his face grim. Miss Santos, thank God. Mr. Castellano is in his office. Antonio is sleeping. He doesn't know anything's wrong, and Mr. Castellano wants to keep it that way. Vincent led her to a wing Maya hadn't been to before. Nico stood behind a massive desk, his jacket off, sleeves rolled up, looking at a laptop with an expression that made Maya's stomach drop. He looked up when she entered, and some of the tension left his shoulders. You made it. Anyone follow you? No, I checked. Nico, what's going on? Nico closed the laptop. There was an attempted breach of the estate tonight. 3 men tried to get through the south fence around 1 a.m. Security stopped them before they got close to the house. Maya's knees went weak. A breach? Someone tried to break in? Not break in. Reconnaissance. Nico's jaw tightened. They were watching, taking photos, mapping our security. One of them had blueprints of the estate. Why? Because someone wants to send me a message, and the best way to hurt me is to hurt the people I care about. Nico's eyes held hers. My father, the staff. You. Me? Maya's voice came out higher than intended. I've been here 2 weeks. How would anyone even know about me? You've been seen, coming and going, spending hours with my father. In my world, that makes you a target. Nico moved closer. I've tripled security. But I need you to stay here tonight. Make sure Papa doesn't know anything's wrong. If he finds out, it'll stress him. And that could trigger another episode. Of course, Maya said immediately. But what about you? What are you going to do? Find out who sent them, and make it clear that attempting to breach my home is a mistake they won't live to repeat. The coldness in Nico's voice sent a shiver down Maya's spine. This was the other side of him, the dangerous side. Will you kill them? Maya asked. Nico studied her face. Would it bother you if I did? Maya thought about that. She should be horrified. But all she could think about was Antonio sleeping peacefully, unaware of the danger. I don't know, she admitted. But I know your father needs you. So don't do anything that would keep you from coming home to him. Something flickered across Nico's face. I'll be careful. Promise me, Maya said, reaching out to grab his arm. Promise me you'll come back. Nico looked down at her hand on his arm, then back at her face. You really care. Of course I care. Your Maya stopped herself, not sure how to finish. I'm what? Nico asked softly, covering her hand with his own. You're Antonio's son, Maya said finally, and he needs you. That's all. Nico's expression suggested he knew that wasn't all, but he didn't push. I'll be back by morning. Get some sleep. The guest room you used before is already prepared. He started to pull away, but Maya tightened her grip. Nico, be careful. Always, he said. Then, before Maya could process what was happening, he leaned down and pressed a kiss to her forehead. It was brief, almost brotherly, but it left her skin tingling. Lock the office door behind me, Nico said. Don't open it for anyone but Vincent or Mrs. Greco. Then he was gone, and Maya was left standing in his office, her hand pressed to her forehead, her heart racing. She locked the door and made her way to Antonio's suite. She checked on him through the slightly open bedroom door. He was sleeping soundly, his breathing even. Maya settled into the chair in his sitting room, knowing she wouldn't sleep, and waited for morning. The hours crawled by. Maya tried reading, but she couldn't concentrate. Every sound made her jump. She checked on Antonio every 30 minutes. At 5:30 a.m., just as the sky was beginning to lighten, she heard footsteps. Maya tensed, reaching for her phone, ready to call Vincent. Then a familiar voice called softly, Maya? It's me. She unlocked the door to find Nico standing there, his white shirt stained with something that might have been blood, a bruise forming on his jaw, but very much alive. You're hurt, Maya said, pulling him inside and closing the door quietly. It's nothing, Nico said, but he winced when Maya's fingers gently probed the bruise. Sit down, she ordered. Don't move. She went to Antonio's bathroom and returned with a first aid kit. Nico watched as she cleaned the cut on his knuckles and checked his ribs for breaks. I'm fine, Nico said, but he didn't pull away from her touch. You're hurt and exhausted, Maya countered. What happened? We had a conversation. They understand now that the Castellano estate is off limits. A conversation that involved your fists? Among other things, Nico caught her hand. Maya, I need to tell you something. The seriousness in his voice made Maya's stomach clench. Okay. The men tonight weren't random. They were sent by someone who knows about you, who knows you're important to my father, and possibly to me. Nico's grip tightened. This won't be the last attempt. As long as you work here, as long as you're associated with this family, you're at risk. Are you firing me? No. God, no. Nico looked almost anguished. But I'm giving you a choice. You can walk away now, before things get more complicated. I'll give you a generous severance, excellent references. Or you stay. You accept the protection we can offer, the security measures. You accept that you're part of this family now, with everything that entails. Nico's eyes searched hers. But if you stay, there's no going back. You'll always be connected to us, always be someone our enemies might target. Maya thought about her old life, the 3 jobs, the exhaustion, the loneliness. She thought about Antonio's kind eyes. She thought about these past 2 weeks, feeling useful and needed, and she thought about Nico, sitting in front of her with bruised knuckles, offering her a way out even though she could see in his eyes that he wanted her to stay. "If I stay," Maya said slowly, "what exactly does that protection involve?" "A security detail when you leave the estate. Regular check-ins with Vincent. Self-defense training. Changes to your apartment security." Nico's voice was steady. "And you'd move out of the city. There's a guest house on the property. You'd have your own space, but you'd be behind our security perimeter." "You've thought about this?" "I've been thinking about it since the day you started." Maya looked at their joined hands. "I want to stay," she said. "I want to help Antonio. And I want—" She stopped. "What do you want, Maya?" Nico's voice had dropped. "I want to see where this goes. Whatever this is between us." Maya forced herself to meet his eyes. "Because I think you feel it too. This connection." Nico's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. "I feel it. I've been trying not to feel it, because it complicates everything. Because caring about you makes you vulnerable." "Too late," Maya said with a small smile. "I already care, so we might as well stop fighting it." "You're sure?" Nico asked. "Because once we cross this line, everything changes." "I'm sure," Maya said. "Are you?" Instead of answering, Nico cupped her face with his free hand and leaned in slowly. Maya didn't pull away. She closed the distance between them, pressing her lips to his. The kiss was soft at first, tentative. Then Nico's hand slid into her hair, and the kiss deepened, becoming something more urgent. Maya's hands moved to his chest, feeling his heart racing. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Nico rested his forehead against hers. "This is a terrible idea," he murmured. "Probably," Maya agreed. "Are we doing it anyway?" "Apparently." Nico smiled, a real, genuine smile that transformed his face. "You're dangerous, Maya Santos. You make me want things I thought I'd given up on." "Like what?" "Like having someone to come home to. Like being more than just the head of an organization." Nico pulled back slightly. "You make me remember what it felt like before everything got so complicated." A soft sound from the bedroom made them both freeze. Antonio, stirring awake. Nico stood quickly. "I should go before he sees me like this," Nico said, gesturing to his disheveled appearance. "We'll talk later about the move, the security arrangements, and about this." He gestured between them. "Okay," Maya said, still feeling dizzy from the kiss. Nico moved to the door, then turned back. "Maya, I'm glad you're staying." "Me too," Maya said softly. The next few days were a whirlwind. Nico had a moving company at Maya's apartment within 24 hours. Her entire life fit into 8 boxes. The guest house was nothing like Maya's cramped studio. It was a 2-bedroom cottage nestled at the edge of the estate gardens, with exposed beam, ceilings, a fireplace, and windows that let in floods of natural light. "This is too much," Maya said, overwhelmed. Vincent, who'd been overseeing security installations, looked up. "Mr. Castellano's orders. Your family now, Miss Santos. We protect family." "Maya," she corrected. "Please, just Maya." Vincent's stern face softened slightly. "Maya, then. Let me show you the security features. Cameras here, here, and here." He pointed. "Panic button by the door and another by your bed. Press them, and I'll have 3 men here in under 60 seconds. "A safe room? Let's hope you never need it," Vincent said. "But Mr. Castellano doesn't take chances with people he cares about." "He cares about his father," Maya said. "He cares about you too," Vincent said bluntly. "In all the years I've worked for him, I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." Before Maya could process that, Vincent's radio crackled. "Vincent, we have incoming. Black sedan, 2 occupants." Vincent's hand went to his weapon. "Identify. Luciano and 1 associate." Vincent swore. "Stay inside, Maya. Lock the door." "Who's Luciano?" "Trouble," Vincent said grimly. "And he shouldn't be here." Through the window, Maya watched as a sleek black car pulled up. A man in an expensive suit emerged, followed by a younger man who moved like a bodyguard. Even from a distance, Maya could see the older man's calculating expression. Nico appeared from the main house, his posture radiating controlled aggression. Marco flanked him, and 3 other men took up positions. The 2 groups met in the driveway, and though Maya couldn't hear what was being said, she could read the body language. This wasn't a friendly visit. The meeting lasted less than 5 minutes. Then Luciano and his man were getting back in their car, and Nico was striding toward the guest house, with an expression that made Maya's blood run cold. Vincent opened the door before Nico could knock. "Everything okay, boss?" "No," Nico said flatly. He looked at Maya. "We need to talk. Now." Vincent excused himself. Nico paced the living room like a caged animal. "What happened?" Maya asked. "Salvatore Luciano just had the audacity to come to my home and warn me that my new associate is causing complications." Nico's voice was tight. "He said having you here sends the wrong message, that it makes me look weak." "Me?" Maya's voice came out small. "How do I make you look weak?" Because in his world, caring about anyone is weakness. Nico stopped pacing. He also made it clear that if I can't keep my personal life separate from business, there will be consequences. Maya felt like she'd been punched. "You want me to leave?" "What?" "No." Nico crossed to her in 2 strides, taking her shoulders. "God. No. That's the opposite of what I want. But I need you to understand the situation. Luciano is testing me, seeing if he can use you to manipulate me." "He'll come after me," Maya finished. "To hurt you." "Yes." The word came out like it was tearing Nico apart. "I should never have let you get involved. But I was selfish. I wanted you here." "You wanted what?" Maya prompted. "I wanted someone who saw me as more than just the head of an organization." Nico's hands tightened. "But that was unfair to you. This life destroys good things. And you're the best thing that's happened to me in years." "Then don't let it destroy this," Maya said, reaching up to cup his face. "Don't let Luciano dictate what you can or can't have. It's not that simple. Every decision I make affects hundreds of people. Every weakness I show can be exploited. And you, Maya, you're the biggest weakness I've ever had. Then make me a strength instead," Maya said. "Stop trying to protect me by pushing me away, and start trusting that I can handle this world." Nico closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. "You don't know what you're asking." "Yes, I do. I'm asking you to let me in, all the way in. As someone who's part of your life, part of your world," Maya's voice dropped. "I'm asking you to stop fighting what we both feel." When Nico opened his eyes, they were dark with emotion. "If I do this, if I claim you as mine in a way this world will understand, there's no going back. You'll be a target forever. I'm already in danger," Maya pointed out. "The only question is whether we face it together, or whether you try to face it alone." Nico pulled her against him, his arms wrapping around her. "You're sure?" Maya pulled back just enough to look up at him. "I'm sure." "Are you?" Instead of answering, Nico kissed her. This kiss was claiming, possessive, a promise and a warning. Maya kissed him back with equal intensity. When they finally broke apart, Nico rested his forehead against hers. "Tomorrow night there's a gathering. All the families, all the major players. It's held monthly, a way to maintain peace." "Okay. I want you there, with me, as my partner. It'll send a clear message that you're protected, that you're important to me, that anyone who touches you will have to answer to me." Maya's breath caught. "That's a big step." "It is, and it means everyone will know about you, about us. There's no anonymity after that. Are you ready for that?" Maya thought about her old life, about being invisible. Then she thought about the past few weeks being valued, being seen. "Yes," she said firmly. "I'm ready." Nico's smile was fierce and proud. "Then tomorrow night, we show them exactly who you are." He kissed her again, softer this time, almost reverent, and Maya knew with absolute certainty that everything was about to change. The dress arrived at noon the next day. Maya stared at the garment bag like it might contain something dangerous. Mrs. Greco had delivered it with a knowing smile and instructions to be ready by 6 p.m. sharp. Inside was a stunning deep emerald green silk dress that would hit just below the knee. Beside it, a box contained matching heels. There was a note in Nico's bold handwriting. "Green to match your eyes when you're challenging me. You'll need that fire tonight." And Maya smiled despite her nerves. She spent the afternoon with Antonio, who was practically vibrating with excitement. "My Nico is finally bringing someone to the gathering," Antonio said, beaming. "Do you know how long I've waited for this? Years." "I haven't changed anything," Maya protested. "You've changed him," Antonio insisted. "He smiles now, real smiles, and he comes home for dinner." He reached for her hand. Tonight will be intense, Piccola. These people will judge you, test you, look for weakness. But you remember you saved my life. You have a good heart and a strong spine. That's worth more than all their money and power combined. Maya showered and dressed carefully. The dress fit perfectly. She applied makeup more than usual, but not so much that she looked like someone else. Her dark hair fell in soft waves, and she added the simple gold necklace her grandmother had given her. At exactly 5:45, there was a knock at her door. Nico stood there, in a perfectly tailored black suit. He looked devastating. When he saw her, his expression shifted into something that made her breath catch. "Maya," he said, his voice rough. "You're beautiful." "You're not so bad yourself," Maya managed. Nico stepped inside, closing the door. "I need to tell you something before we go, okay? Tonight is going to be difficult. These people will test you. They'll try to make you uncomfortable." Nico's hands came up to cup her face. "But I need you to know that you belong there. Not because of me, but because of who you are." "I'm scared," Maya admitted. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." Nico's thumb traced her cheekbone. "But remember, you're not alone. I'll be right beside you. And if anyone makes you truly uncomfortable, you tell me." "Understood. One more thing." Nico reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "It's not what you think," he said, with a slight smile. "Not yet, anyway." He opened the box to reveal a ring, not a diamond, but a deep green emerald surrounded by small diamonds, set in white gold. "It was my mother's," Nico said quietly. "She wore it to these gatherings as a reminder of who she was. Papa gave it to me after she died, told me to give it to someone who deserved it." He took Maya's right hand and slipped the ring onto her middle finger. "You deserve it." "Nico, I can't accept this. It's your mother's, which is exactly why I want you to have it. She would have loved you." Nico lifted her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles. "Wear it tonight. Let everyone see that you're not just under my protection, you're family." "Thank you," Maya whispered, "for trusting me with this." Nico pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her forehead, then her lips. It was sweet, tender, a promise. When they pulled apart, Maya felt steadier. "Ready?" Nico asked. "As I'll ever be." The drive took 40 minutes. Nico held her hand the entire time, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. He briefed her quietly on who would be there. "Salvatore Luciano, you've heard about. He'll be the most hostile. Stay away from him if possible." "Okay." "Angela DeLuca runs drug distribution. She's calculating, smart. She'll try to befriend you to gather information. Don't trust her. Got it." "And then there's Isabella Ricci. She's the widow of the former head of the Ricci family. She loved my mother, and she might be an ally if you need one." The venue was a historic mansion. Valets took the car, and security personnel were stationed at every entrance. Maya counted at least a dozen armed men before they reached the door. "Breathe," Nico murmured. "You've got this." They walked inside together, Nico's hand at the small of her back. The entrance hall was elegant marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably belonged in museums. But it was the people that made Maya's breath catch. They were beautiful in the way of people who'd never worried about money. But beneath the polish, Maya could see predators assessing prey, power plays wrapped in polite conversation. Heads turned as they entered. Conversation stopped. Maya felt dozens of eyes on her. She lifted her chin and smiled. "Nico Castellano," a woman's voice rang out. "How lovely of you to finally join us." Angela DeLuca approached in red silk, her dark hair swept up, rubies at her neck. She was beautiful in a cold, precise way. "Angela," Nico said, his voice neutral. "You're looking well. As are you. And you've brought a guest." Angela's eyes swept over Maya. "How delightful. I don't believe we've met." "Maya Santos," Maya said, extending her hand. She'd learned that letting others define you was the first step to losing control. Angela's eyebrows rose at Maya's directness. "Charming. And what brings you to our little gathering?" "I'm with Nico," Maya said simply. "I can see that. But who are you? Family? Business? Or something more? Personal?" "She's under my protection," Nico said, his voice carrying an edge that made nearby conversations stop. "Which makes her business off limits." "Of course," Angela said, but her eyes remained on Maya. "How intriguing." She glided away, and Maya let out a breath. "That wasn't so bad," Nico murmured. The next hour was a blur of introductions. Maya met several younger members of various families, all of whom looked at her with curiosity and suspicion. And then she met Salvatore Luciano. He was older than Nico, with silver hair and cold eyes that reminded Maya of a shark. He approached while Nico was speaking with another family head. "The infamous Maya Santos," Luciano said, his voice smooth. "I've heard so much about you, Mr. Luciano," Maya said carefully. "I've heard about you as well. All good things, I hope." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "It's not often we see Nico Castellano bring a date. You must be very special. I'm just here to support him." "How sweet. How very domestic." Luciano's eyes glittered. "Tell me, Miss Santos, do you know what kind of man you're supporting? What he does to maintain his empire?" "I know enough," Maya said, feeling her temper rise. Do you know about the businesses he shuts down? The people who disappear? Do you know about the blood on his hands?" Luciano leaned in. "Or are you just another pretty distraction, useful until you become a liability?" Maya felt something hot and fierce rise in her chest. "I know that Nico is a man who honors his commitments, who protects the people he cares about, and who doesn't need to tear others down to feel powerful." She met Luciano's eyes directly. "Can you say the same?" Luciano's expression hardened. "Careful, girl. You're in a world you don't understand. Then perhaps you should stop disrespecting me and mine." Nico's voice cut in, cold as ice. He'd appeared at Maya's side, his hand on her waist. "I believe we're done here, Salvatore." "Are we?" Luciano's smile was predatory. "I was just getting to know your new pet." Nico's entire demeanor changed. "Call her that again," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "And you'll find out exactly what I'm capable of." The room had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. Luciano looked between them, calculating, then stepped back. "No offense intended. I was merely curious." He smiled. "I wonder how long it will last." He walked away, and the room slowly returned to normal. But Maya could feel the shift, the way people were looking at her differently, some with respect, others with concern. "I'm sorry," Maya said quietly. "I shouldn't have." "Don't apologize," Nico interrupted, his voice fierce with pride. "You stood your ground against one of the most dangerous men in the city. Do you know how rare that is?" I just got angry. "You were magnificent," Nico said, pulling her closer. "And you just showed everyone here exactly who you are." Before Maya could respond, an older woman approached, elegant in dove gray, with kind eyes but steel beneath. "Nico, dear boy," the woman said warmly. "It's been too long, Isabella," Nico said with genuine affection. "You look beautiful." "You're a terrible liar." Isabella turned to Maya. "And you must be the young woman everyone is talking about." "I'm Isabella Ricci." "Maya Santos," Maya said, shaking her hand. "The pleasure is mine. I knew Nico's mother. Maria was one of my dearest friends." Isabella's eyes grew soft. "She would have adored you, especially after that display with Salvatore." "Thank you," Maya said, warming to this woman. "Walk with me, dear," Isabella said, linking her arm through Maya's. "I want to hear all about how you met our Nico." Nico looked like he wanted to protest, but Marco appeared with an urgent expression. Maya found herself being gently steered toward the terrace by Isabella. "Don't look so nervous," Isabella said kindly. "I just wanted to offer some advice." They stepped onto the terrace, the cool night air, a relief. The city sparkled below them. "This world is not kind to women," Isabella said, "especially women who don't come from families. But I see something in you that reminds me of Maria, strength wrapped in kindness." "I'm just trying not to mess this up," Maya admitted. "You won't. You're too smart for that." Isabella turned to face her. "But you need to understand something. Nico's enemies will use you if they can. Some of them won't stop at just threats." "I know." Nico's explained the risks. "Has he explained what happens if those risks become reality? Has he told you about the people who've been killed for less than what you represent to him?" Isabella's voice was gentle but firm. "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you." Maya thought about her old life. "I don't want to go back. That life was survival, not living. This life is the first time I've felt like I matter." "You do matter. That's precisely the problem." Isabella sighed. "Salvatore is going to make a move. Soon. He sees Nico's care for you as weakness. You need to be ready. Ready for what? For whatever he does to test that weakness. It could be a threat, an attack, an attempt to use you as leverage. Isabella's eyes were serious. But I want you to know that you're not alone. I'll watch over you too. If you need anything, help, advice, or just a friendly ear, you call me. Thank you. But why help me? Because Maria would have wanted me to. And because I think you're exactly what Nico needs. Isabella smiled. Besides, anyone brave enough to stand up to Salvatore deserves support. They returned to the party, and Isabella delivered Maya back to Nico's side. The rest of the evening passed in conversations and careful maneuvering. Maya watched Nico work the room, saw how people deferred to him, but she also saw the way he kept track of her, his eyes finding her every few minutes, making sure she was okay. By midnight, they left. Maya was exhausted but exhilarated. She'd survived her first gathering. More than survived, she'd held her own. In the car, Nico pulled her against his side. You were amazing tonight, he said softly. I've never been more proud. I almost started a war with Luciano. Almost. Nico smiled. But you stood your ground. That's important in this world. Isabella warned me that he's going to make a move, Maya said quietly. Nico's arm tightened. He can try. He'll find out exactly how wrong he is. When they arrived back at the estate, Nico walked her to the guest house. At her door, he pulled her close. Thank you, he said, for tonight, for standing with me. Thank you for letting me, Maya replied. Nico kissed her then, slow and deep and full of promise. When they pulled apart, he traced her cheek. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll start your self-defense training. Okay, but Nico, I'm not afraid. Whatever comes, we'll handle it together. Together, Nico agreed. He kissed her once more, then stepped back. Good night, Maya. Good night. Maya watched him walk back toward the main house, her heart full. She looked down at the emerald ring on her finger and felt the weight of what she'd accepted tonight. She was part of this family now, part of this world. And she wouldn't have it any other way. The attack came 3 days later. Maya was in the garden with Antonio, reading to him while he dozed in the afternoon sun. It was peaceful, quiet, the kind of moment that had become precious. She didn't hear them coming. The first indication something was wrong was Vincent's voice in her earpiece, a new addition Nico had insisted on. Maya, get Antonio inside, now. Maya's blood turned to ice. She dropped the book and moved to Antonio's wheelchair. We need to go inside, right now. Antonio's eyes snapped open, instantly alert. What's happening? I don't know, but Vincent said to get you inside. She was pushing him toward the house when she heard it gunfire. Close. Too close. Antonio grabbed the wheels, helping her move faster, but they were still 30 feet from the door when 3 men appeared from around the side of the house. They wore masks, carried weapons, and moved with precision. One raised his gun, pointing it directly at Maya. Time slowed. Maya saw the man's finger tightening on the trigger, saw Antonio trying to push himself out of his chair to shield her. Then Vincent was there, tackling her sideways as the shot rang out. They hit the ground hard, but she was alive. Vincent was already returning fire, his body shielding hers as bullets tore through the garden. More security appeared. The attackers were forced back, disappearing as more gunfire erupted. Vincent hauled Maya to her feet. Get him inside, Vincent ordered. Maya ran to Antonio and pushed his chair as fast as she could toward the house. They made it to the terrace, through the French doors, into the relative safety of Antonio's suite. Mrs. Greco was there, white-faced but composed. Locking the salmon. Doors. The panic room, Mrs. Greco said. Now. She led them to Antonio's bedroom, pressed a section of the wall, and a hidden door swung open. The room beyond was small but well-equipped. Maya helped Antonio inside, her hands still shaking. Piccola, Antonio said, grabbing her hand. Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Are you? Maya ran her hands over him, checking for injuries. I'm fine. Thanks to Vincent. And thanks to you. The sound of gunfire had stopped. The house was eerily quiet. Maya's earpiece crackled. Maya, report. Nico's voice, tight with barely controlled fear. We're okay. In the panic room with Antonio and Mrs. Greco. We're not hurt. The relief in Nico's exhaled breath was audible. Stay there. Don't come out until I give the all clear. Yes. Nico, what happened? I'll explain when I see you. Just stay safe, please." The connection cut off. Maya sank onto the bench beside Antonio, her whole body beginning to shake. Antonio put his arm around her, and they sat together, waiting. It took 40 minutes before Nico's voice came through again. "All clear. I'm coming to you." Mrs. Greco opened the door. They emerged to find Nico standing in Antonio's bedroom, his suit jacket gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up and spotted with blood. His face was a mask of barely controlled fury, but when he saw Maya, something cracked. He crossed to her in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms so hard it hurt. Maya wrapped her arms around him, feeling the tremor running through his body. "You're okay," he said against her hair. "You're okay. I'm okay. We're both okay." Maya pulled back. "Are you hurt? Is that your blood?" "Not mine," one of the attackers. Nico's jaw was tight. "They're being questioned now." "Who were they?" Antonio asked. "Luciano's men." Nico's voice was flat, dead. "He decided to send a message." Maya felt sick. "Because of me. Because of what I said at the gathering." "No." Nico cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Because he's a coward who attacks from the shadows. This is not your fault, Maya. Do you understand me? Not your fault. But if I hadn't challenged him, then he would have found another excuse." Antonio's voice was firm. "This is who Salvatore is. He was looking for an opening, and he thought you were it. But he was wrong." "What happens now?" Maya asked. Nico's expression turned cold. "Now I remind everyone in this city exactly why the Castellano name commands respect, and I make sure Salvatore Luciano never threatens my family again." The way he said it sent chills down Maya's spine. This was the other Nico, the one who ruled an empire. But when he looked at her, his expression softened. "I need to handle this, but first I need to know you're safe. Both of you." Nico looked at his father. "Papa, I'm doubling your security detail. And Maya, you're not leaving the estate grounds until this is resolved." "How long will that take?" Maya asked. "As long as it takes." Nico's tone left no room for argument. "I won't have you in danger because of me." "What about you?" Maya grabbed his arm. "If you go after Luciano, won't that put you in danger?" "This is my world, Maya. I know how to navigate it." "That's not an answer." Nico sighed. "I'll be careful, I promise, but I have to do this. He came into my home, threatened my father, tried to hurt you. I can't let that stand." Maya wanted to argue, wanted to beg him not to go, but she could see the steel in his eyes. This was part of who he was. "Promise me you'll come back," she said quietly. "I promise." Nico kissed her forehead, then her lips. "Take care of Papa for me." Then he was gone, striding from the room with Marco at his heels, leaving Maya and Antonio with the weight of what had just happened. "He'll be okay," Antonio said gently. "My Nico, he's smart, careful, he knows what he's doing. But Luciano made a mistake. A big one." Antonio's voice was grim. "He attacked Nico's family. There's no coming back from that." They sat together in the fading afternoon light, drinking tea that neither of them tasted, waiting. The hours crawled by. Finally, at 11 p.m., Maya's earpiece crackled. "Maya." It was Marco's voice. "Nico's on his way back. He's okay." Relief flooded through her. "Thank you," she whispered. 20 minutes later, she heard vehicles. Nico finally appeared in the doorway. He looked exhausted, haunted, but uninjured. His eyes found hers immediately, and some of the tension left his shoulders. "Is it done?" Antonio asked. "It's done." Nico's voice was flat. "Luciano won't be a problem anymore." Maya didn't ask what that meant. She didn't want to know. All that mattered was that Nico was home. "Good," Antonio said simply. "Now go, both of you. Get some rest." Nico helped Maya to her feet, and they walked together toward the guest house. The night was cool and clear, stars scattered across the sky. Inside, Nico finally let his control slip. He sank onto the couch, his head in his hands, and Maya saw him shake. She sat beside him, pulling him into her arms, and he let her. For the first time since she'd met him, Nico Castellano let himself be vulnerable. "I thought I was going to lose you," he said, his voice muffled against her shoulder. "When Vincent radioed that there were men in the garden, that shots had been fired, all I could think was that I'd brought you into this world and it was going to destroy you." "I'm here," Maya said. running her fingers through his hair. I'm safe. We're both safe. This time. But what about next time? You won't. Maya cupped his face. I'm not going anywhere. This is my life now. Our life. And yes, it's dangerous, but it's also worth it. You're worth it. How can you say that? Nico asked. After everything that happened today? Because I love you, Maya said simply, the words coming out before she could stop them. I love you, Nico Castellano, the man who takes care of his father, the man who gave me a home and a purpose, the man who kisses me like I'm precious. That's who you are to me, not the dangerous businessman, just you. Nico stared at her, speechless. Then he was kissing her, desperate and claiming. Maya kissed him back with equal fervor. I love you, Nico said when they finally broke apart. God help me. I love you so much it terrifies me. Then let's be terrified together, Maya said, because I'm not letting you face this world alone anymore. They held each other as the night deepened. Two people from different worlds who'd found something neither had expected. The next morning brought a new reality. Word had spread about what had happened to Salvatore Luciano. Security around the estate relaxed. Nico's business calls became less tense. Isabella called to check on her, warm with approval. You've handled yourself beautifully, dear. Maria would be so proud. Even Angela DeLuca sent a message. Impressive. You're stronger than you look. But the most significant change was in Nico himself. He was still protective, still vigilant, but there was a new piece in him. He came home earlier, spent more time with Antonio and Maya, laughed more easily. You did this. Antonio told Maya one afternoon as they sat in the garden, the same garden where the attack had happened. Now reclaimed and peaceful. You reminded him how to live, not just survive. He did it himself, Maya said. I just gave him a reason to want to. 3 months after the attack, Nico took Maya back to the terrace where they'd had so many early conversations. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I have something to ask you, Nico said, and Maya's heart skipped. He pulled a small box from his pocket, different from the one that had held his mother's ring. When he opened it, Maya gasped. The diamond was substantial but elegant, set in a band that matched the emerald ring she still wore. Maya Santos, you came into my life in a storm. You saved my father. You stood up to my enemies. You called me out when I was stubborn and supported me when I was breaking. Nico took her hand. You made me remember what it's like to live instead of just exist. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? Maya's eyes filled with tears. Yes. God, yes. Nico slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a kiss that felt like coming home. When they finally pulled apart, they heard applause from the house. Antonio stood on his terrace, Mrs. Greco beside him, both beaming. Vincent and Marco were there too, grinning. He's been carrying that ring for a month, Antonio called out. I thought he'd never work up the courage. Maya laughed, and Nico groaned, but he was smiling too. They walked back to the house, hand in hand, toward the family waiting to congratulate them. That night, after the celebration, Nico and Maya stood on the terrace again, this time with twin rings on their fingers. No regrets? Nico asked. Maya thought about the girl she'd been struggling delivery driver, alone and exhausted. Then she thought about the woman she'd become engaged to the man she loved, part of a family. No regrets, she said firmly. Not a single one. Good. Nico pulled her close. Because you're stuck with me now. I'm counting on it. They stood together under the stars. A Mafia boss and a delivery girl who'd shared an umbrella in a storm, and found something neither had known they were looking for. They found home. They found family. They found love. 3 years later, Maya stood in the doorway of Antonio's suite, watching as he played with his granddaughter. Elena Maria Castellano, 18 months old, had her father's dark eyes and her mother's stubbornness. She was refusing to nap, much to Antonio's delight. Just like her mother, Nico said, coming to stand beside Maya, wrapping his arms around her waist. I have no idea what you're talking about, Maya said with mock innocence. Of course not. Nico pressed a kiss to her temple. How was the meeting? Good. We've secured funding for 3 more safe houses. Maya's foundation, Home Again, had grown beyond her dreams. It provided resources and support for women and children escaping violence, everything Maya had wished for when she'd been struggling alone. I'm proud of you, Nico said, What you've built. My mother would have loved it. Maya leaned back against him. They'd been married for 2 years, and every day felt like a gift. Not that it was always easy. Nico's business still had its dangers. But they faced everything together. Papa! Elena's voice rang out. Papa, play! Nico laughed and moved to join his daughter and father, scooping Elena up and spinning her around. Maya watched them 3 generations of Castellanos, plus the stubborn Filipino girl who'd somehow become part of their world, and felt her heart swell. Antonio caught her eye and smiled. Come join us, Piccola. Family time. Maya crossed the room to join them, settling onto the floor where Elena immediately climbed into her lap. Nico sat beside them, his hand finding Maya's, their rings catching the afternoon light. This was her life now. Not perfect, not without complications, but hers, real, full, worth every risk. Thank you, she said quietly to Nico. For what? For what? For letting me share your umbrella, Nico smiled, understanding the reference to that rainy night that had changed everything. Thank you for stopping at that bus stop, for staying with a stubborn old man who didn't want to die alone. Best decision I ever made, Maya said. Second best, Antonio corrected. The best was saying yes when Nico proposed. Third best, Nico added with a grin. The best was having Elena. The second best was marrying me. You're both impossible, Maya laughed, but she was smiling. Elena tugged on her mother's shirt, demanding attention, and Maya pulled her close. She breathed in that perfect baby scent, feeling Nico's solid presence, beside her and Antonio's warm gaze on all of them. One choice, one moment of compassion in the rain. And it had led to all of this. Family, love, purpose, home. Sometimes the best things in life come from the simplest acts of kindness. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to open your heart, the universe rewards you with everything you never knew you needed. Maya had stopped at a bus stop to save a dying stranger, and in doing so, she'd saved herself. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.